what's like your favorite player with a pick on Nouns?
I love seeing Adesu Zacian a lot. I think he really popped off with it on the B stage, and I would really like to see it again. But whatever they're comfortable with, they know best. I really trust Nouns, so they can definitely do it.
That's amazing. Just getting a little bit more information on the B stage as well. So I'm counting on you on that, Zation, okay? Right, thank you so much, Zara, and back to our casters.
Thank you so much, Soph-Chan and Raichu. We'll have to see whether Raichu's wish comes true and Nouns are able to take down LG 2-0. But we are already going into our pick ban phase. The 4 bans for this match are going to be Ho-Oh and Snorlax, 2 defenders knocked out by Nouns Esports, and Luminosity have taken away that Zacian and that Galarian Rapidash.
So maybe a bit of a different plan here for both of these teams. You know, you can't really go for the usual stuff because Nouns and Luminosity, I do feel like they're very familiar with each other, and especially in such a high stakes game. Maybe today's the day where you kind of have to bring out a little bit of that craziness, that funky, different kind of strat to kind of give you that
crazy.
edge.
I mean, it is
we're
World
at
Championship,
Worlds.
so maybe you could.
Best time to go crazy is at Worlds, but we'll have to see if that does end up being the case though. But so far, pretty solid Pokemon across the board here, nothing too crazy. I mean, Charizard, very strong pick. Mewtwo has been a popular choice for attacker for a lot of teams. I'm glad to see the Crustle. We have seen some of this on the main stage yesterday, and it has done really well. But it's Crustle and Umbreon.
Yeah, so I guess they're going for a little bit more bulky, and to round off Nouns Esports composition, Gatlu is going to be running that Dodrio. So part of their strats there is just to let Gatlu do what Gatlu does best and do his thing, which we actually saw yesterday. But last pick for Luminosity. What are they going to round it out with? Ooh, a Zoroark. What do you think about this speedster here, Danalee?
So I think everyone is very familiar with the Zoro on the side of Luminosity. So this is a Pokemon that they love to run, and I think Nouns, to a certain degree, I kind of feel like they drafted a lineup in anticipation for a Zoro potential last pick. So even though this is a signature Pokemon appearing here on the side of Luminosity, Nouns clearly has a plan to deal with this, because I think it would be ridiculous to say they didn't anticipate it.
Well,
because it's left in the pool.
Yeah, well, you look at their composition, they have an Umbreon to shut down that Zoroark, even a Rock down Crustle, but we are actually going to throw it to another interview here with Luminosity before we do get into this first match of the quarterfinals.
Okay, we have Nouns Chance, now we have Luminosity, we have Sneaky Seal here with me, and Luminosity is definitely a fan favorite as well. So what are your thoughts for this match in particular? Like we mentioned, we had that matchup in the first season for Grand Finals of Worlds. What are you feeling?
It's been 3 years since LG dominated Nouns in the finals, and they're going to do it again, baby. Let's go, Billy. Let's go, everyone else on LG, all right?
Quick prediction, what's the scoreline?
I want to say 3-0, but I love my guys over there, Toon, Ender, but 3-0.
Okay, let's go. Thank you so much, Seal. And back to the casters.
All right, Kels, we are jumping into game number 1 here for the quarterfinals of this best of 3 series. And unfortunately, only Nouns or Luminosity will be making it through. The other one will be going home. Lanes are set, and at the moment, nothing has gone sideways. Everything is going according to plan. Nothing crazy, no central area invades, but that might change for game number 2 and 3 once things do start to settle. Toon, unfortunately, is kind of holding the fort on his own as that Charmander, so, you know, not really able to really do anything, but the stacks are going to work in favor for Inder here because he hasn't really been pressured by Luminosity as of yet, although he might be knocked out if he's not too lucky. He's going to go for the berry steals, so going to continue with those stacks. Kels, I think we've got to talk about Inder. Inder has been such a pivotal member ever since he's joined Nouns. He is a fantastic player. Somehow can always get experience and somehow steals objectives.
Well, to bring up Inder, Inder has joined Nouns this year, and they are the player that has defeated Luminosity previously. So is this going to be their secret tech coming up into this set? But so far, those birds end up getting soaked on up. Looking at the levels, it's still very early days, but looking very even. It is 7 to 10 points, just getting in those early stacks where you can. But here comes Gatlu over the wall to go and knock down Latios. So that is massive in shutting down their potential. But look at this. This UCS 2025 season, Nouns holds 108 wins at a 72% win rate, whereas Luminosity leads with the 82. Oh. I don't know what that was. 80-something.
So Luminosity, they currently hold a slightly higher win rate, but I kind of feel like you got to reset things here, right? It's a brand new series, it's a brand new day, and it's Worlds 2025 as well. We do have the Altaria and Squabbles in that central area, but most of them do get swiped up here. And, oh, hang on a minute, we do see a bit of a skirmish here. Both of our speedsters going for a little bit of a dance, but no knockouts as of yet. And these lanes still looking rather stable aside from those couple pickoffs here and there, although hang on, we still have that battle, and oh, the Zoro does go down, does not take the Dodrio down, so Gatlu is going to be the last one to be laughing there.
Yeah, they're going to go and retreat back to home base, recalibrate, fill up that HP pool, as we do have another set of Swablues and Altaria spawning in shortly. Otherwise, no real pushes towards a singular lane just as of yet, but Nouns Esports, they're right on top of those birds, and Bruv is going to go and deny Kyrios any experience at all by getting that knockout.
Yeah, beautiful rock tomb set up there by Bruv. If that didn't connect, they wouldn't have been able to grab that knockout. So this is the beauty of Crustal. We very rarely see this Pokemon in a lot of regions, but when it does appear, I think just the shock value, knowing that a Crustal is in your game, it really can catch you off guard with the range of that rock tomb, especially if it does land that connection. Up top though, it looks like the Regieleki has been secured by Luminosity, so they will be pushing alongside that, whereas down bottom, we have our Charizard picking up that defense buff and experience buff there for Nouns. So if a fight does break up, we do have a little bit of extra defense working in Nouns' favor.
Well, you can see Nouns just making sure to cover all bases. Going up the top side, unfortunately, they didn't end up losing that Regieleki, but two members are going and dealing with that. Bruv isn't needed instead. They're going to try and contest these birds with Toon, who has locked in that level 9, does have that Unite move on hand. Over on the other side, we do have that Zoroark that has that yellow dot above their head, so they also have their Unite move come this next fight.
But it looks like no one really wants to engage in a fight yet. It seems to be a case of just trying to get as much experience as possible, and if you can, try and accumulate that level lead, because we've seen in games sometimes just having that extra 1 or 2 levels is enough to help you win some of those fights. And it looks like we're going to be seeing a fight here over some of those birds, and it looks like we do get the pullback there by Inda, but Nouns, it looks like they weren't quite ready for this battle, even forcing out the Unite. Luminosity, I think it was a good thing they had that restraint there. They could have tried to go for the dive, but the Moonlight Prance could have caused them quite a few issues. But because there's no more Prance, they're thinking of diving. But Kels, this looks very, very dangerous, especially with the Mewtwo Unites.
Well, there goes a dive with a Seismic Slam to go and knock out that Blaziken. Next to fall is that Zoroark. Bruv, at such low HP, is able to go and finish the job on the Latios. And now we do have Nouns that have the numbers advantage, being able to knock out multiple members and overtake this top tier 1 pad.
I have to say, that was such an aggressive play coming out from Luminosity, and especially to dive onto Nouns' goal zone of all things. Sure, there was no more Moonlight Prance, but you're still fighting on the enemy goal zone, and with Unites available and the fact that Luminosity were so grouped up, I'm not sure if they maybe forgot that Edesu had access to his Unite, so that little mini stun was just enough for Nouns to set themselves up to end up winning that team fight overall. So big victory there, though even though they did win that battle, they didn't accumulate much of a level lead yet. They have a level 12 there on Gatlu, so maybe this Dodrio is going to start snowballing for the team. We'll have to see, but Regieleki will be secured here by Luminosity. They're going to try and push with this so they can break that tier 1 goal zone. It's going to be tough though, especially with Bruv on that Crustal.
Crustal has popped out their Rubble Rouser to just go ruffle the feathers of Overlord, trying to knock them out. However, they are unsuccessful. Regieleki is still healthy, as we do have some backup coming in from Nouns, but Bruv ends up collapsing, and Regieleki ends up crashing on in, and now this is Luminosity's chance to get in some points of their own, because we're looking at the scoreboard so far. They are falling quite behind at 256 to 86, but there we go. They've at least bridged that gap even closer, and because of those KOs, we now have that Zoroark at a level 12.
Yeah, so that slight lead that Nouns had, they have given that back to Luminosity, and things are now tied back up to even once again. That top fight, they were so close to being able to defend that. Gatlu just really missing out on a tiny bit more damage, and just because they had one fewer Pokemon, the freeze on the Charizard locks them in, and that's going to set up for 1 KO. Moonlight Prance gets committed here by Inda, but is it going to be enough though? The goal zone is still standing. They do get the Zoro in the process, but it's just going to be 2 Pokemon left for Nouns. It's the Mewtwo, White, and Gatlu. Oh boy, Luminosity, this aggression, it might not have worked earlier on, but their persistence is really starting to pay off now.
I think that's the thing. They do have that Latios on their side. So early game, they need to focus on getting that Eon energy by just passively being in the back line to get those hits, secure those wild Pokemon. But now that they are online, they're able to go in and rely on that damage to hopefully chip away at Nouns Esports. Nouns Esports, though, they are going to play it safe. They did make an attempt at trying to steal away some of the experience, but so close to this Rayquaza, about to spawn in 30 seconds, they want to focus on all the experience that's on their side instead.
Yeah, you really want to try and get those plus moves as early as possible, especially on your core set of Pokemon as well. But we do have 5 seconds left on that bottom Reggie. I would be keen to see if Nouns wants to try and go for a quick rip onto this. They are there, they are grouped up, but it looks like they're just kind of looking at it. They don't want to be falling into a potential trap of trying to take that Reggie steal. The buff would have been nice, but positioning going into that Rayquaza, far more important, Kello. And now it's going to be the last 2 minutes. The final stretch has finally arrived. And, well, the game is incredibly close. Luminosity are the ones behind right now. They are behind just by a few points. So either they go for those micro scores or they're going to have to go for that Rayquaza. And because they have that Blaziken, Rayquaza is looking incredibly tempting right now.
Well, that's the thing. We've got the notification that it is a close battle between these two teams. It's just a matter of who's going to make the engage. Gatlu trying to poke out at Overlord with their triple trample, able to get the knockout. And yes, the hit. And now we have Charizard also diving in, trying to breathe fire and wreak havoc on Luminosity. However, because of that Bliss assistance, Latios is managing to survive this fight for a little long. But now, Luminosity, they're 3 members down. Only 1 member of Nouns Esports is down. This is their chance to go in for the rip, unless the threat Slash here on the Suicune can bring and maybe get a steal order. Here comes with the edge. Did they get the secure? Was it the Execure from Otter?
Oh my goodness, Otter has done it. That is insane.
And with the shield as well, and with only 2 Pokemon that can even defend these goal zones, Nouns are in such a desperate situation now because they are behind by a little under 200 points, 300 points now. And with no Pokemon on the field, they're going to have to think, what do we need to do in game number 2? Because I think this match, unsalvageable. You've got to think what changes in the draft, what Pokemon need to be banned. Do they have to get rid of that Zoro in game number 2? Because I don't think Zoro itself was an issue. There were multiple other facets, I feel, to Luminosity's draft that really caused Nouns problems. But obviously the biggest one, letting a Blissey steal a Rayquaza, that's a crime.
Oh, but there we go. The fans go wild for Luminosity, who have just taken that first game win. 1 step closer towards getting that spot when they ended up winning that to get that jacket. Otherwise, we are heading on into our second pick ban phase. Nouns Esports are still in that first pick position, have decided to lock out Ho-Oh and Latios, and Luminosity are going to stick with that Galarian Rapidash. So I wonder what they're going to knock on out this time.
I think Suicune, because then you've been denying... Okay, no, I think they had to also get rid of the Zacian. Okay, that makes sense. I do feel like you can't really give a Desu the Zacian either, since he plays it so well. So Charizard, again, going to be the first pick here for Toon. Thoughts on Toon's Charizard last game? Like, do you feel like the Charizard pick is really working out for Nouns, or do you think it's something that they're kind of using more for utility rather than late game scaling?
Look, its Unite move is quite incredible. Obviously, being able to get that isolation and that slam down on an opponent, that is just too much of a threat. But just that constant damage, as long as they are supported by their team. It really comes down to that timing of when to actually go and use it and be able to get maximum output from it.
Maybe. I don't know. I kind of feel like I'd like to see Toon on a different Pokemon, but maybe this game he's going to prove me wrong. Suicune, love to see this. It's going to be on Nouns' side this time. And they're also going to get the Lapras. So Interesting choice of Pokemon here for Nouns. Luminosity, on the other hand, though, they get themselves that Mewtwo, and they get the Snorlax because that was banned in that previous round. And Blissey and Dodrio are going to be the next two choices here for Luminosity. So Gatlu's going to have to play a different Pokemon if he had the Dodrio in mind. And what Pokemon could that possibly be? Because at the moment, they have a great Pokemon in Charizard with a lot of utility, damage, Blaziken for Gatlu. You know what? I think this could work because you've also denied this from Luminosity. You now have an advantage when it comes to secure. And Blaziken, if snowballing, can dish out a lot of damage as well.
Well, it has to get online first, but Trainer LGC, are you hovering over that Urshifu there? I don't think we've seen Urshifu on the broadcast, and you can see that 1% hit rate. So bringing out this wild card of an all-rounder, you're talking about secures. Urshifu is one of those trusty secures.
Back in the day, it was like the matchup
as well. I think it is a great answer back to that Blaziken. I'm guessing this is going to be that Wicked Blow over Surging Strikes Urshifu, which we have seen Luminosity play previously, but they do have that Razor Claw, the ESL Bracer, along with that Muscle Band equipped for them.
Yeah, so I wouldn't disagree with the Wicked Blow at all. I kind of feel like that would be a really good move too, because you also have Slash there for the setup. Because you've got Snorlax, assuming that Slash is going to go for block into Wicked Blow is nasty. So we'll have to see if that combo does come out from Luminosity at the end of the day, but really interesting draft so far for Luminosity. Very fast-paced because you've got the Dodrio that's going to be running around. You also have the Snorlax that maybe... I kind of wonder here if I'm Slash, do I want to maybe go for a bit of an invade into Nouns' central area? Because Snorlax is so good at stealing those central lane Pokemon.
You look at their build, they do have the X-Speed along with the experience share to go and give them that extra movement speed if they do decide to go in for an invade. But really, when I think about the matches so far, we haven't really seen any invades. But folks, we are heading on into our second game of the quarterfinals, best of 3. This is Nouns Esports' last tournament lifeline here, because Luminosity do have that one-up advantage against them. Well, let's see how this one fares out, Danalee.
Yep, Nouns are going to have to go for a reverse sweep if they want to keep their tournament dreams alive, and Slash getting a little bit too low and actually gets knocked out in that bottom lane, unfortunately, to the Lapras and that Suicune, leaving the Mewtwo all alone. Otto, though, going to be jumped on by Gatlu, but the return is there from Overlord. They do manage to get the heal off, and for the moment, we're going to have a bit of a peace treaty signed between these two Pokemon in that top lane. But down bottom, though, we are seeing a little bit more pressure again being applied by that Suicune. Adesu just sort of coming in and stealing that blue buff, but the Lapras returning, wanting to fight into Slash, who is going to take a little bit of a power nap and heal back up. They will leave that though, instead prioritizing experience, which this early on in the game, if you can, grab all the experience in the world. But they're going to go for a wraparound this time onto the Lapras yet again, but Lapras is very tanky. Now, unfortunately, they don't have that finishing move to finish off the Lapras, so again, just a lot of fighting down in that bottom lane, but lots of barking, not a lot of biting.
No, we did say yesterday, no barking, no biting, only pats so far for these dogs. But otherwise, up in that top half, we do have Overlord looking to dunk in their 10, but they do end up getting denied by that Torchic. I mean, you know, we're talking about close games so far. Obviously, only 2 minutes or so have passed. It's 2-4 currently.
2-4. I think it's just
those stacks.
No stacks. I think it's respect from both teams. Like, they know if they try to go for those stacks, you're putting yourself at such high risk of just giving away some easy knockout experience as well. So the game might seem a little bit slow with none of these knockouts. I do believe it might be close to getting one. No, unfortunately, looks like Toon was able to get away there from Trainer, but they will steal away that Altario. So very nice big chunk of experience going in favor of Luminosity for now. We are seeing some dunks though. Dodrio finally coming in and increasing the score. But then again, we see some counter scores happening. So the gap not too wide for now, but we may see a bit of a change here because we're seeing the Combuskin being stalked here by that Urshifu. Trainer really wanting to jump on top of them, but again, both teams really struggling to latch onto each other for these chases.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. They don't want to risk too much diving on in without that backup. Gatlu does need that level 7 in order to get that evolution to Blaziken. Going in for a reset through that hyperspace hole, but Luminosity have taken what they needed. The experience from those Swablus and Altaria. 5 seconds left to go until this basement Reggie does spawn. Both of the defenders on either side are taking their position. It's just a matter of who's going to go in for the engage. And I mean, if we look at their shred, Curious does have the shred on the Mewtwo. No backup for Nouns Esports though.
Oh, down bottom, we are having a bit of a skirmish here, and I have to say, I love this pairing coming out from Nouns, this Lapras Suicune fighting combination. They have slows, they have freezes. They are going to have to try and fight for this Regirock, though. It's a defense, but an experience on the line, and it's going to go in favor of Nouns. It looks like they will be trying to go for that pick off there, and they do finally get the Lapras, but then again, it may just be a Lapras. If they can find more, they'll be perfect, but Urshifu getting a little bit too close there and losing quite a bit of health. But, I mean, you get a Lapras, but you gave away the Reggie. So, I mean, it's a small trade, it seems. Up top, though, we did unfortunately lose that Blissey, thanks to Toon, who was able to secure that final hit. And we're still seeing a bit of a skirmish happening up there. Dodrio trying to find his way through, but there comes the seismic slam, and I think we see some fried chicken here, Kels.
Yes, a fried chicken, fried Reggie Alecki as Nouns Esports successfully take that towards Luminosity's Tier 1 goal. But 3 members are here to defend, considering there's still 52 points on this goal. They do not want to let any more dunks go on through. Can they successfully defend it? Otter ends up going down, and it looks like Trainer, LGC, and Curious are needing to retreat back to the flux zone. That is no longer.
And by the way, Kels, this is actually Surging Strikes. Urshifu, it is not the Wicked Blow. So Trainer, instead of trying to go for the Wicked Blow hits, he's decided he wants to try and fight in this match. And the one thing that Urshifu with the Surging Strikes is really good at is really piercing through all those shields and being extremely elusive. Because on the side of Nouns, they don't really have a lot of disable aside from the Seismic Slam and the freezes coming out from that Suicune. So Trainer might have a lot of freedom of movement in these fights, and that might cause a lot of problems here for Nouns unless they can catch him with one of their major moves. Toon getting caught there by Luminosity, so he's going to be off the field for 10 seconds, which means that's 10 seconds where Luminosity, they can choose to do whatever they want here. If they want to go for an invade or if they want to try and find some more wild Pokemon. And it looks like they will restrain themselves. They're not going to get too ahead of themselves. Just back up, make that lead, and keep the lead.
Yeah, well, considering it just ticked over that halfway point, Nouns Esports do have those jump pads available. So Luminosity not wanting to commit, instead just playing it safe and looking to go and secure some wild Pokemon. But Nouns Esports, they gathered the majority of those birds, but Galu's looking at getting caught on out, but they're able to save themselves with some kicks and some punches against those 3 members, and they have been wiped by Toon Slim there. Inda does end up popping their Unite move. As we can see on the minimap, that 2 members from Nouns Esports were able to go and empty out their Eos energy in that top tier 2 pad. And are looking for the next goal, which is this Reggie Steal.
They're going to get it unless someone can try and go for the steal, but it's a Blaziken of all things, so they do get the Reggie Steal buff, but they're very, very low, so maybe this is where Luminosity can try and turn things around, but because there's a Hooper on the field, oh, they've actually decided to come on back, and the Blaziken's gone.
Blaziken's gone, but there comes a big freeze from Adesu to get the stuns. We do have LG trying to push back. Adesu knocked them out before going and getting some dunks of their own. Bruv on cooldown isn't able to go and defend that, but even then, with that push, this goal is still quite healthy at 51 out of 80 points. Slash going in for another invade and block, despite Luminosity not being behind them, which means they get punished and sent back to the Pokemon Center.
Yeah, and there's going to be no Snorlax as well, so if they really need a frontliner, they do have to wait for their defender to come back, and, well, the heals are there, and Nouns are looking to go for a very big push here, scoring all those points into the goal zone. It's 32 points left here, but here comes Slash, is coming with that heavy slam, managing to catch up 2 Pokemon in the air, and there's no more Suicune, so no more freezes for Nouns. They're going to keep on chasing their trainer, doing all that he can, but he goes down, but maybe the Mewtwo is able to pull it through for the team, will go down as Toon is going to go back to base, heal back up, and now he wants Slash as well. He wants that roasted Snorlax, and he's going to get it on that Charizard.
It is so back and forth between these 2 teams, but as we look at the points board, 216 to 109 with 30 seconds left to go until that Rayquaza. It could still be anybody's match at this point, but I mean, we're looking at these levels. 3 level 13s on the side of Luminosity, but we have that level 14 Charizard on Nouns Esports. So really, it's going to come down to the wire to see if Nouns Esports can take this to a Game 3 and a step closer towards securing that semi-final spot. Or Luminosity going to be able to do this 2-0 for those fans in the crowd.
There we go. Slash is going to start things off for the team, using that block to sort of force out Nouns from that bush, but we still see the Dodrio trying to find that entry point into the central area. Unfortunately, has been scouted out by Toon, who just throws some fire his way, so losing quite a bit of health. Far forward, though, we have that Lapras trying to chip away at the health here for Luminosity. Oh, the Urshifu not looking too good here. Trainer slowly losing his health. Again, the Snorlax just being an absolute nuisance here. Both teams on the Rayquaza, but who's going to be able to get the final hit here? It's going to be Nouns.
Nouns Esports able to get the takedown on Luminosity and the Rayquaza, and now they are going to push towards these pads, balloon these points, and have a chance at securing a spot in that semi-final. But the thing is, there's still a minute left on the clock. 652 to 109. A Luminosity going to be able to push on back. I mean, getting the knockout on Bruv is a great first step towards that.
It is a great first step, and it's quite difficult for Luminosity to be able to pull the comeback because, yes, there's a tier 1 goal zone down bottom, but there's only so many points you can dunk in there. And then after that, you have to try and go a little bit deeper into Nouns territory. And they still have shields, meaning they're also going to have that attack buff from the Rayquaza shield. So if Luminosity can somehow pull a comeback from here, it'll be an absolute miracle. But Nouns, they're going to sacrifice their early tier 2 goal zone potentially. Nope, they are going to slowly push them away. 25 seconds left to go here for Luminosity, though. They need to score these points somehow, but I think the gap is just too big now, Kels.
There, Luminosity looking for that miracle. Unfortunately, it's not going to go their way. Instead, Nouns Esports are going to get the miracle that they needed to go and take this game win and take it to a Game 3. I mean, look, we want to see more action from Nouns Esports and Luminosity, but there we go. Nouns winning that. Nouns fans going wild in the crowd and at home.
But we're not done yet, Kels. We still have one more game.
In an international championship so far.
Well, it's going to come down to the draft, whether or not they're going to be able to make that deep tournament run, Kel. So let's see what is going to be the priority bans for all of our teams. And already we're seeing some more adaptations here. Ho-Oh and Suicune removed from the pool by Nouns Esports, and Charizard and the Galarian Rapidash is going to be banned by Luminosity, which means we're going to be seeing Latios this game on Toon.
Yeah, Luminosity it was Curious that ended up playing it in that first game, but I guess when given that opportunity, no Charizard for Toon, they're going to lock in that Latios, but Trainer LGC, they're going to look in this Dodrio once again, and Slash is opting for this Snorlax.
I'm just trying to think, do I want Slash on the Snorlax? I mean, he's a great player. He's a great Snorlax, but after that last round, I kind of think Nouns wants him on the Snorlax.
Really?
Yeah, I think they want him on the Snorlax because as great as Slash is on the Snorlax, he becomes a purely utility player once he's playing the Snorlax. I feel like there are certain other Pokemon he can play where he provides more than utility. He can actually really get those steals on those objectives, and he can really dish out some damage as well. But I mean, if this is the play for Slash, you know, go for it.
You're talking about wild cards earlier, Dana.
I know.
We have a wild card here. We are getting a Sableye pick, but the double bird, the double speed spot for Luminosity. This
and
is
the Zoro.
final triple speedsters.
I can't.
One speedster for each of the ICs here, okay? And then, of course, the Sableye and Snorlax. But what on earth is happening?
I said I wanted Slash on a different Pokemon. Give me Sableye. I am down. I am down. That is very, very fun.
Wait, look at these builds.
Yep.
Goal getter, Zoroark, goal getter, Talonflame, goal getter, Snort. They're going in for Scorecon. Look at these score shields. Look at the Eos Cookie. Luminosity, they're pulling out all of whoever stops this match. I don't know if this is too risky here, Donnelly.
I want to see Nouns' POV right now on the camera. I just want to see their faces. I want to see if there's confusion, if there is shock, if there is fear. Like what's going through their mind? I know you're confused. We can see your face, Kels. Don't worry. I want to see Nouns. Oh my gosh. I mean, look. I'm down for a bit of chaos. I didn't think the chaos would happen at World of all places. Like maybe at IC, sure, you can go a little ham, but I mean, to go this ham at Worlds, like yes, please.
World Championships. That is where the most eyes that you have on you. You know what I mean? You got to make a statement. These are some very bold plays from Luminosity Gaming. I don't know if we've really seen this play style from them either, so I'm wondering how it's going to pan out for them. But folks, this is going to be the last game, the last chance for both of these teams to land that final spot in the semi-finals against Peru Unite. One step closer towards that World Championship title. Now Esports on the purple side, Luminosity on the orange.
And oh, I just noticed there's been a bit of a steal. Slash is applying a lot of pressure to Gatlu in that central area, so it's gonna slow down Gatlu's progress in that central area. We'll have to see if he comes out of it rather safely. And looks like Gatlu was able to get the knockout there. So Slash, he did try to slow down the progress of Leafeon, but he got the knockout. I know Kel's getting a little excited here.
I was so distracted by Luminosity's chaos they were bringing. We have a Wigglytuff on the field.
Yep.
Bruv is playing Wigglytuff. I love this, except I don't love where he's getting himself caught into. Using the sync to get the three-person stun. Doesn't end up escaping, though, but still, very bold movements.
Really bold movements, but it also gives a lot of space for the Latios to actually get that experience. So, you know, I kind of like this play, the fact that he's using the Wigglytuff just to be as a bait, as a trap, and also the Sing, you are going to be buffing up the attack from that Latios. It's going to be hitting harder. So I love the synergy of this pick, of this draft, but we have to see how this really pans out, because for Bruv, right, he really is going to be pivoting into that utility role, because Wigglytuff doesn't deal a lot of damage, but you are going to be amplifying damage. Yeah, your job is to amplify damage. You got to make sure your teammates are the ones doing it for you.
Well, we do have 10 seconds until these birds do spawn. Trainer LGC does end up getting caught on out and taken by that Leafeon. Slash trying to fight back as the Sableye. However, they're incredibly squishy and get cut down by those Razor Leaves, which means those two members from Nouns are able to soak up all of the experience from those Swabbers in a tie for themselves, leading Gatlu at level 8 now has the Unite move on hand.
Yeah, this early game is looking a little bit rough here for Luminosity, because we're seeing multiple knockouts across the board all over the map. There's Nouns. They're the ones that are successfully grabbing these KOs, which means they're also grabbing experience and stealing away any AOS points that Luminosity are keeping in their pockets. And we're going to be seeing another knockout, even the Leafeon committing the Unite move. That's 3 KOs on the side of Luminosity. They're trying to play aggressive. They're trying to steal these AOS points away so they can go for the dunks, but they're being punished for the 3rd time in a row.
Yeah, I guess that's the risk. It really comes down to these points, but the thing is, are they able to sustain these fights considering how incredibly squishy they are? But, I mean, despite this, Luminosity are managing to keep up, because it's 65 to 62 in favor of Nouns Esports. We have both of those first objectives now on the map.
Well, it looks like it's very crowded in that top lane here. Kells with Luminosity grouping up, getting ready to go for an objective that Regieleki will be a perfect objective to grab themselves if they can get it. Slash going to be slowing down some of these Nouns players, but unfortunately only for a little bit. And because the Sableye is gone, you can tell that Luminosity no longer feeling confident trying to take that Regieleki up top, and instead will be pivoting towards that bottom lane instead. We're going to be seeing the goal-getter being used, but what was it used for? I guess they scored the point, but they get knocked out as well, so you're giving experience away. I love the fact that they're trying to go for the scoring comp, but if you are constantly being knocked out at the same time, I don't know how much of a lead you're going to be able to accumulate in this particular match.
Oh, honestly, I'm not really sure what to expect, but so far, Luminosity have managed to keep up. That goal-getter ticking is sending nightmares, not to my ears, but I think many members in the crowd. But Luminosity, they've successfully broken that top tier 2 pad, but at what cost? Because Latios just got 2 KOs. Once again, stacking that Eon energy for that later game.
Yeah, and you got 2 level 10s and a level 11 on the side of Nouns, whereas for Luminosity, they only have a level 10 Dodrio. Everyone else hasn't even broken out into those double digits, so the experience lead set by Nouns, it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger unless somehow Luminosity is able to stabilize this mid game. And sure, they can keep scoring points, but there's only so much points they're going to be able to do for you. Like, I think at a point, you kind of need to do something else aside from just scoring. They're in the enemy central area. Overlord is so low. Thankfully, no one can finish him off, though, so he's going to be able to run away. But Luminosity, when they're not scoring, the team looks a little bit lost.
Well, I guess that is their whole name of the game. They've just got to get the Eos energy from the wild Pokemon, maybe a few KOs, and get these dunks. However, some really risky positioning and plays here, considering Nouns Esports have those jump pads available as we have passed that halfway mark. But at the moment, it's just a game of chess. Who's going to make this first move as everybody is waiting in the tall grass slash, trying to bait out the members by hitting their Swabblers on Altaria. But you're talking about traps. Nobody from Nouns is falling for that trap.
No, they're not. I have to say, this is probably the quietest game of Pokemon Unite we've seen so far at Worlds, but we're going to be seeing some more scores being thrown out here by Luminosity, but they still can't overtake the point lead by Nouns. I mean, they're so desperate to try and break that point lead, and maybe the plan here, I remember this was something that happened a long time ago in Japan. I think some of you guys may remember Mame's team when they went for this score comp. Maybe the plan here for Luminosity, okay, things are looking a little bit whack now, but when they hit that end game, they're just going to try and grab those 50 points, and they're all just going to go dunk in the enemy goal zone. They've still got 2 more minutes before they can even attempt a strategy like that, but I mean, Nouns, they've got to be expecting this, especially after seeing all the Pokemon and the items being selected by Luminosity. Looks like a big team fight is about to break out, and if Luminosity don't win this, I think things may just go really, really bad for them. Talonflame is able to get a quick score off, will be able to escape with the fly, but not flying far enough, it seems.
Not flying far enough to escape the havoc that Latios does bring, which does bring them up to level 13, but Goalgetter ends up being popped. Their score shield also ends up bursting, which means they're not able to successfully get that dunk. However, Slash did end up getting 19 points, and we're looking at this scoreboard, Danalee. Luminosity have finally broken through at 240 points to 186.
They need far more points than this. This is not enough points to make you feel confident that you're going to be able to take the rest of that game. So I think now is the time you start hoarding those points. Hoard those wild Pokemon, collect all that Eos energy, and get ready to absolutely rush one of these 2 side lanes down Nouns' lanes, because they've got to figure out a way to quickly score those points. Because Rayquaza, you know, I think Nouns, they either have 2 options or 3 options. Option 1, the most preferable, just knock Luminosity out, because if they're not on the map, they can't score a point. If that doesn't work, defend your goal zones. Hope you do enough damage to break through their score shield, but some Pokemon can't quite do that. So what is the third alternative? Maybe they take the Rayquaza themselves and they say, well, if you want to try and play a score game versus us, I think we can outcompete you.
Honestly, I have no idea what stops both of these teams are going to bring. All I know is that my heart is beating really fast. I don't know if anybody else's heart is beating really fast as we are creeping ever so closer towards that Rayquaza spawning. And, well, Luminosity looks like they're taking this positioning up in the central area, so they're not going for the play of those backpads, but an early triple treble. Are they going?
They're going to go for Rayquaza.
They are. Unite moves are flying. Rayquaza is getting shredded on down, and there's a charges up their sword. They are successful. Don't get the steal, and this is Luminosity's chance to make some miracles happen for them.
Oh boy, Luminosity, they're going to be able to score their points. Oh no! They couldn't break, they broke the shield! The Talon didn't get to score. We only have a slight lead here on the side of Luminosity, and 3 Pokemon are down. I mean, is the play here for Nouns just to run down these side lanes because they have so many points, and if a team fight happens, I think Nouns wins every single team fight from here on out. They've just got to be careful when these Pokemon start to stagger their way as they jump onto this goal zone. They're going to send Brawl first. That's going to force the first jump there by the Snorlax. They're going to start scoring again. They're going to throw another body there in just a second. There comes the Talonflame. They're taking turns. They really want to make sure they can try and catch up one of these Nouns Pokemon, but so far they're not able to latch. And Luminosity, you can tell how afraid they are because they can't directly engage. They're running speedsters, but look on the map, they've got the Zora and the Talon deciding they're going to rush that bottom lane instead.
But look at that, Bruv going and knocking Luminosity out like a lullaby, leaving this goal on 2 points, and that is going to be a 98 overcap. 40 seconds left on the clock, 384 to 418, but we have this Talon Flame Kyrios getting in another 94 points, making it ever so difficult for Nouns Esports to come on back. But the Sing from that Wiggly Tap to go and give them that shield that they ever so need. Do they have enough Chaos energy on hand because of those backcaps? I don't think so.
After Toon went down, I don't think they have